Welcome to a special episode of Jewish Midlife from the Living Life Fully series, where we explore inspiring stories of women embracing new adventures later in life. Hi, I'm Devora Krasnianski, and you can find out more about us at jewishmidlife.com and on social media. In this episode, I had the pleasure of talking with Shoshana Denberg, a remarkable woman who, after reaching the age of 60, embarked on a journey to become a hypnobirthing instructor, specializing in helping mothers through healthful and meaningful births. Throughout this conversation, Shoshana takes us through her career transition, sharing the challenges and triumphs of returning to school, launching her business, and always learning new things along the way. Since starting with hypnobirthing, she expanded her services to help mothers and babies in so many more ways too. Join us as Shoshana opens up about her personal discovery process, how she tuned into her passions, and the determination it took to pursue a purposeful path after 60. This episode is a testament to the resilience and strength that can be found in embracing change and pursuing one's true calling. Get ready to be inspired by Shoshana's journey of reinvention and the wisdom she shares to encourage others to live life fully, no matter their age.
Shoshana, I'm so excited to talk to you because in our conversation that we had, and that was a great lunch, we spoke about how you made such a major shift in your midlife. And I think that it's such an inspirational story. And I really hope that we can get that out to other people so that they can take that inspiration and make the shift, do something that they really love, something that they want to be doing and that works for your schedule. So let's go straight into it. Okay.
Sure.
So let's talk about what are you doing now?
So now I am a hypnobirthing practitioner. So I teach hypnobirthing classes. I'm a birth doula, postpartum doula. And since we last spoke, I'm now studying to be a lactation consultant.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
It's all part of the same package. So
Exactly.
hypnobirthing. Okay. So I want to talk about what hypnobirthing is, but I also want to talk about, like, of all things, like, how did you come up with it? And, like, let's go through it, like, step by step. What were you doing before and how did you get here?
Yeah. Okay. Great question. So I was, raising my kids. I was a teacher on and off in the school system that my children went to. Some years yes, some years no. And in 2020, I was a second grade teacher. And then COVID hit and we had to go to Zoom. And it was like, I felt for these kids so much. It was a disaster, as I'm sure you are aware of. And the idea of going back to school with, they had at first the plexiglass and the masks, which I never wore. I couldn't do it. So I was home and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I really spent a lot of time thinking about, like, what should I do? What does Hashem want from me? Also to work around, my family schedule. I was very much, even though I worked in the school system, I was very much a stay-at-home mom. And so I was always available for my kids. And I still wanted to have that flexibility. So then I reflected on my life and, like, what part of my life was I, like, the most happiest, the most fulfilled, that I just loved. And it was being pregnant. I loved being pregnant with every pregnancy, giving birth and nursing my babies. To me, that was like, oh, if I could do it again, I would. I just skip the raising part.
Right.
So, and then I was thinking about that, and I was like, wait a second, I know somebody that teaches childbirth classes, hypnobirthing classes. Let me give her a call and see what she thinks about it for me. And so I did, and she encouraged me. She's like, absolutely, Shoshana. So she got me in touch with the Institute, and I signed up for the course. And that's how it all began.
So could I just ask, at what age did you make this shift?
61.
So 60 was when you started.
I'm
Wow.
63.
First of all, it's not that you look amazingly young, but you were 61 when you started. So now when you got certified, it was even later, and you're starting a whole new career.
I started a whole new career. Yes. And I'm loving every minute of it.
That's amazing. It's amazing. So good for you. And I think that's so important to realize that you can do something entirely different, not even somewhat related to what you were doing before, except that you were teaching and now you're helping. It's in the helping, but that's not as if you evolved out of your teaching to another something in education or it's the same age, something pretty much entirely different.
Yes. Yes, entirely different. But it's funny, like when for me at least, when you have a passion about something and you are in the middle of life, please God, it's so easy to get out of your comfort zone and just like plow through it and just dive right into it, you know?
I love that midlife, get out of your comfort zone. I think that when we were younger, maybe we cared a little bit more what other people thought. And that's one of the most amazing parts of midlife is, hey, I could do what I want. We probably always could have, but now we actually realize it and we can live it.
Yeah.
But I love
it's
that.
Very freeing.
Yes, it's free and it makes us feel lighter. And it's just, it's a wonderful part of midlife.
Exactly.
So for you, you thought of it on your own. Like you just really went back and you asked yourself questions. What did I really love? What part of my life did I really enjoy? And turned it into a career. And some people may think that, oh, I enjoyed being pregnant, but had to turn that into a career. So that was like in the next step of not just, oh, that was a part of my life that I enjoyed. And okay, what else could I actually do? But I love how you actually turned that into something that you could actually do. And the other piece that I really love is that you actually asked other people, do you think I can do this? Do you think it matches me? Like, getting other insight, not just gung ho or saying, oh, that's an interesting idea, but no. So like you actually had a conversation, heard your own voice talking about it. I'm guessing that your friend also heard your passion in it.
I think so. And I have to say though, there was definitely another motivating, somewhat selfish factor involved. My daughter was pregnant with our first grandchild and giving birth in August of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And that was quite a traumatic birth for her. It was before I took my hypnobirthing course. When she was in early stages of labor, she was by my husband and I, and she was like, I think I should go to the hospital. And I'm like, really, you could wait. She's like, no, I'm going. And it was COVID. And so she could only take one person. So of course she took her husband. She wasn't even married a year. So she took her husband and she's like, Mommy, don't worry. Women go to the hospital all the time, pregnant, and they walk out with their babies. And that's just what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm like, but you make sure not to wear a mask. That's the only thing that came to my head was like, you can't, labor with a mask on. Yeah. So she took my advice and she didn't wear a mask. And it was pretty, people were very upset with her and the labor and delivery nurses were upset. So the whole environment was very, very filled with a lot of tension. And it's not the way we're supposed to give birth. Hashem, I don't believe that Hashem wants us to give birth in a fearful, tense environment. He wants us to give birth in a very loving, calm atmosphere, and that we should be calm and connected to Hashem during this special time. But because of all the activity in the hospital, it wasn't like that for her. So when she came home, it was very hard for her. And I was like, oh my gosh, she can't go through, please God, many, many pregnancies like this. And I have other children. And what about her friends? And this one. And then I got like a bigger picture, like 1 second, there's a generation here that's doing this. And I truly believe it's not supposed to be like that. So it was a big push for me to take the course. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. So if I would have seen my daughter going through that, I would have also said no one should go through that, but it was so not my passion that I would never go there. But I think that the two things happening in a few months really told you, or you actually tuned into what you should be doing.
Yes. And the whole time also, like, I really recommend to women, like, talk to Hashem, ask Hashem constantly, what am I supposed to be doing? give me signs. I begged him to give me signs that what I was doing was what I was supposed to be busy with, and he did. He gave me signs. Thank God.
So good for you, 61, and really like making that big change. And you actually had to go to school for that.
Yes, it wasn't very long. The certification doesn't take too long. But in my certification, you have to teach somebody, as like a clinical or whatever, hypnobirthing, a pregnant mom that's about to give birth. So one of my daughter's friends, I contacted her. I knew she was expecting, and she signed up for my course. It can be a couples course. So a lot of husbands do take the course along with the wives. It's on Zoom. And for this couple, the husband was like in and out. And the mom, the woman, she was like, I'm having a hospital birth. My mother works in a hospital, and this is what we do. And I'm like, okay, but you're taking my course. I'm thinking to myself, but you're taking my course. Let's talk about, let's see how it progresses. And in the middle of the course, I would say that she very much changed positions, and she, instead of having a hospital birth, she switched to planning a birth at a birthing center. And so she hired a midwife, and she registered at the birthing center, and she was so excited. I will also say that she did all of the homework. Like, she was very into it. And so because she was able to condition her mind to condition her body. So she was my first sign that what I was doing was right. How? One day she messages me, and she's like, Shoshana, you're not going to believe what happened. But it was Motzei Shabbos, and I wasn't feeling so good. And I wanted a water birth. And so I love the water and bathtub. So I went into the bathtub just to relax. Now, mind you, she wasn't due for a few weeks. And she said after a couple of hours, she got out of the tub, and she told her husband, I don't know, like something doesn't feel right. This was her first, by the way. She was never pregnant before. She's like, I don't feel great. I think we should go to the hospital, double check. He's like, okay, let's go. So she like turns around, whatever. I'm like, I don't know, a minute or two later, she says, she turns back to her husband and says, actually, I'm going back into the bathtub, call 911. So he's like, okay. So he calls 911. 5 minutes later, took 5 minutes. It wasn't Hatzela. There's a knock at the door. 2 firemen are there with all their equipment, like big chainsaw, I don't know, saws and stuff. And he says, okay, my wife's in the bathroom. So they walk in the bathroom, and the husband, like, he nearly like fell on the floor, because he walks into the bathroom, and the mother, his wife, is in the bathtub, and her newborn baby is laying on her chest.
Wow.
It was 6 weeks early. She thanked me up and down because of the course that she took. She said, I taught her how to have a calm, confident birth, no matter the circumstance. And so she said, without it, she would have probably freaked out, been screaming, hysterical, crying, this and that. She said she wasn't. And not only that, she's like, I pray that every birth is like that. So I was like, thank you, Hashem. You gave me my sign. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. It was clear, very clear to me. I was very grateful for that sign.
Good for you. So let's just talk a minute about what hypnobirthing, just because in case someone doesn't know what we're talking about here.
Hypnobirthing teaches a woman how to give birth and to approach birth in a very calm, confident manner. And we do that by teaching different techniques. There's 3 different breathing techniques. We teach visualization. I teach relaxation, affirmations, positivity, lots of different tips and tricks on how to like block out the noise of the world, so to speak, to be able to birth in a gentle, calm way and look forward to it as opposed to fearing it.
Amazing. So you also have like firstly the get to know the client or the mother and possibly the father, So there's that you sound like you just show up in the hospital and there's whoever is attending at that time. And then you have the classes also. So there's like this whole relationship piece, which is also a bonus. But really they can take those skills with them into the next pregnancy. They don't necessarily need to have you there. Is that right?
So, well, according to this first mom of mine, the student, you definitely don't. However, I encourage every woman to have a doula, whether it's her mother or sister or professional doula. I really do, because things can change in birth, and you need to have somebody there that is calm and confident and an advocate. I do teach moms and their husbands how to be advocates in the hospital. But as I said, I don't believe that Hashem wants us to spend our energy in the middle of labor and about to give birth on being an advocate for ourselves. We shouldn't have to do that.
Right.
Give it over to somebody else, like a doula. That's how I got started as a doula. It just happened like organically. Like the moms that I were teaching, they were like, could you please be my doula? I would love for you to be my doula. And that's how it happened.
So I love how you figured out what you would like to do. You studied it, and it's kind of is growing in itself. The doula, then the lactation. It's like all the same client, but you're actually building other aspects for the same client and in the same area. And so it's, once you got your ball rolling, you got yourself into this whole new field. And I could just see that when we spoke last time, and I even see now, your eyes are glowing from this. I mean, you're really living your passion. And I'm so happy for you that you're actually getting to do what you love to do. And it's helpful, and you get paid for it.
Yes.
And for you, at least, the schedule works really well for you.
It does. Not so often for my husband, when it's like 3:00 in the morning and I get that phone call to, attend to birth. But generally speaking, yes, absolutely.
So let's go back to going back to school. Is probably after many years, and you're learning with people who are probably younger than you, at least some of them.
Probably. How about I could be the mother to every single one of them, including the teacher? That's how much younger. Half my age.
And what was that like for you?
Honestly, I didn't care. I didn't give it any thought. So here's the other thing. I think that as women, I believe that our place is in our home with our families when we're growing our families. And even when we're not, even today, I still feel like that's my number one priority. But there's more that we can do. So if we want to do more, one of the tips I think that has helped me is that my mindset is very young. It didn't bother me that they were I really just didn't care. To be honest, I don't think I even thought about it until you asked me, till you brought it up. Like, I didn't care.
Well, at our age, a lot of people are going to be younger than us. And if we actually work with people or hire people to work on our social media or whatever it is, they're going to be younger than us. I mean, just the population is younger than us.
Exactly.
So
speaking of social media, oh my gosh. Okay, so we start a new career, and I didn't grow up with technology. We didn't, right?
Right.
And like I break my teeth over everything, and I'm like an entrepreneur that's building a business from scratch, and it's not easy. And there are parts of it that I actually don't enjoy. So yes, I have this passion. So doing what I do, I love. But then there's the back end where I have to have an expense account, my expenses. What are my expenses? Because I have to pay taxes. Building I signed up, I hired a business coach to teach me how to build a digital program, because my hypnobirthing classes are live with me.
Right.
A lot of women can't afford it. And so when you have a digital online program, everything is, pre-recorded. So the course is much cheaper or somewhat cheaper. So I was like, okay, I need to do this. So I hired a business coach. She does group coaching. This is the part that I slipped into, was the group coaching. I need to just hire somebody to make the program for me, because it's not me. It's not in my headspace. I don't get it. I don't like it. It's not talking to me. I am working on it slowly, and it will happen either on my own, I'll do it, or I'll hire somebody else. Like, I don't need to do everything, but in today's world, like, we have to do advertising. We have to, get referrals. We have to have an online presence on social media. Like, we're like a one person shop, so to speak, It used to be that, there were advertising agencies. Now we have to do our own stuff. Speaking of, I do advertise. I don't know if you noticed, but I have an ad in the Nishei Chabad newsletter.
Yeah. Okay.
And I wrote an article. I'm not sure if you read it or not. It's okay. Not yet. Okay. It's about 2 or 3 issues back. Got a lot of letters to the editor disagreeing with me. Basically, the article was what actually happens in a hospital birth, and many things we're not aware of, and many things we could say no to and we don't know to say no to. And that it's not necessarily the safest place to give birth or the best place, because really people go to a hospital because they're sick, right? The only healthy people that go to a hospital are women that are about to give birth.
Right, right.
So anyway, so that's another aspect as building a new career, that you could get a lot of, to put it mildly, people that don't agree with you and will let you know. So it takes some courage sometimes.
Well, especially when you picked a area that is somewhat controversial. So I think that in any business, there's going to be people who don't like you or
Right.
your style, regardless of what it is. And so some people are vocal for whatever their reasons are. Some people are vocal louder or nastier. There are some, but what I also find is there are in some industries there are less compliments than the criticisms. I don't know why some people don't compliment as often as they could. It takes 2 seconds to do that. I mean, they give bad reviews. They don't necessarily give good reviews unless you specifically ask for it, which is something that we can learn to do, is ask for reviews. But I think that what you're adding a piece is that doing what you love is that there's also all those other parts that you don't love. And it's either hire it out or accept that it's part of what you love. And so in order to do what you love most of the time, you have to do some of what you don't love. Like
100%.
even scheduling, scheduling, all the little back end of scheduling and confirming and accepting payment and talking about payment. And that's another piece that I think for a lot of people, and for a lot of women our age, have a harder time of making pricing for our services. It's a little bit easier if you're actually selling a product and the product actually has its
Set price.
But so that's another piece I think that we have to talk a little bit more about in general as women, especially those of us in our age who we are new to the entrepreneur world. And there's a lot that we could learn. It's not something that we've been talking about since we were young. And so that's something that we could get more supported.
Yeah. But, generally speaking, I would imagine that like there's an industry baseline, for whatever industry you're in. And then, your target market, who do you want to help? So for example, when I first started out, like my Instagram name was Hypnobirthing Homemaker, because that's who I felt like. I was definitely a homemaker and I was a hypnobirthing practitioner. But recently, I think 2 or 3 months ago, I'm not sure, maybe a little longer, beginning of the summer, I changed it to Shoshana Jewish birth worker. I did it on my coaching call where there was other women on the call, and a woman who is Jewish and Orthodox commented like, how could you give yourself such a name? You're going to be excluding women. And I was like, honestly, I'm here to help my people. And I have helped women that are not Jewish. And I'm happy to help women that are not Jewish. But it's very different in the birthing world than a woman that is Jewish. And it's very different when you attend home births and you go into a Jewish home and not a Jewish home. It's just, we're just different. They would say the same about us. They're different than me. We're different. So you just try to, like, for me, I needed to, like, somebody said, why do you keep changing your name? I'm not keep changing my name. I'm trying to, like, hone in on who I feel that I can be of service to the most.
I mean, we only have a certain amount of hours in the day, and
Exactly.
the program that works for you and feels most comfortable for you.
Right.
And that works. But I love how you switched your handle, like the whole idea of shifting, pivoting, like you're building it. And it doesn't have to be exactly a linear line. Like, I thought this was good, tried it out, not so good.
Right.
And I think that that's an important piece, is like just knowing that you're starting a new business and it's going to have the bumps. And I think that's part of what I would like to do in this series, is like, is do something different. It's not going to be exactly the way you envisioned it to begin with. Don't not do it just because it's going to be an interesting journey.
Right. Right. 100%. And like you said, like, that I did change the name, like, it's okay. We're human beings. We're evolving all the time. Like, it's funny. I spoke to somebody on the phone once about a year ago, and she was like, I'm the exact same person that I was when you knew me. Well, I knew her in high school.
Wow.
And I got off the phone and I was like, gosh, I'm definitely not the same person. And why would anybody want to be like, why don't you want to grow and like be more and more and more? So changing a name or pivoting in a business or starting a business and then doing something else. Like, I also did that. We didn't even talk about this, but like I did go to nutrition school. I am a holistic nutritionist. And it wasn't like, I wasn't excited in the morning, even though like I take all my vitamins, I eat healthy, and it's a big part of what I teach is that the mom should be healthy. And it's a big part of just my everyday life, but it didn't have the same energy as this does for me. It's also becoming like, as we get older, I think, we become more self-aware. So it could be easier in a way to pivot careers, even though we're in our midlife. It can be easier because we're more self-aware and we're stronger. We don't like, okay, you don't like what I wrote in the article. That's okay. I got plenty of personal messages and phone calls from people that were very happy that I wrote it. So it's okay. We're not here to be people pleasers. We're here to I don't know, to do what Hashem wants. And for each of us, it's different, like, look at you doing this.
Right. And I love that phrase. One of my things I live by, and it's okay. For whatever it is, though there's someone who doesn't like what I have to say, or something didn't work out the way I envisioned it. And I love, that's again what I love about the midlife. But I think let's bring it back to doing some new work, or doing our new passion project, or whatever it is. I think that it's so important to bring who you were, who you're going to be, and maximizing from our age. But I love how you brought in a business coach. You spoke to your friend, like didn't try to do it on your own. You actually recognized your limitations, invested a little bit in yourself, or in your new business, which is in yourself, and moved it forward.
Yeah, somebody said, as human beings, we're meant to connect with others, with people. We're not here to be like alone and figure things out or by ourselves and stuff. So, yeah.
So let's just go to one last question. Is there anything you learned about yourself that you don't mind sharing?
I think that I've learned in this whole process that I need to be true to myself. I'm a Baal Teshuva. Okay? My husband and I became Baal Teshuva pretty quickly after we were married. And I always wanted to be like everybody else, send my kids to the same school and wear the same things and do the same things. I wanted to fit in. It was such a thing for me for so many years and for so long. And now it's like, I don't need to fit in. I just need to do what I feel Hashem wants me to do. And it's okay if I'm not fitting in, which I am for some and not for others. And
That's okay.
it's okay. Yeah.
So that's amazing. I think that's also part of the age thing, but also finally doing something that you love, that it almost doesn't matter. If you do something that you really love or that's really aligned with your values, it doesn't matter what other people think. And that's how we really should be living. So not to say that somebody who thinks about other people are not living about their values. I'm just saying when we do really live our values, we can live our values and it doesn't matter. But yes, you're right. It does come with age, I think.
100%. 100%.
So Shoshana, where do you live? Where do you do the hypnobirthing?
So I'm in Hollywood, Florida.
So people in other places just can't be working with you directly in person.
Well, for hypnobirthing, they can, because I teach on Zoom.
But not
I
doula.
actually have I just finished teaching a mom a couple of months ago, and she lives in Utah, and she's not even part of a community, like all by herself. So, but as a doula, I'm in the South Florida area, and as a lactation consultant as well.
All right. So thank you so much, Shoshana. This is so amazing. I think it's so inspirational that, if I can say again, your age, at 61, you made this change and you're loving it. And it's good for you, good for your family, good for everyone around. And of course, good for your clients. We're talking about us who can make changes. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
My pleasure.
And
Thank you for
now
having me.
remind us again your handle and where people can find you.
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's Shoshana, Jewish birth worker. That's the only place that I am, is on Instagram.
It's okay.
I'm not so active, but I'm there, in days where I don't post at all. And, my business coach tells me, well, you need to do this, this, and this, and this. But like, it doesn't feel right to me. Like, I don't post because I'm posting to bring awareness, and then if I can help somebody locally or not, even on Zoom, like it's my biggest honor, biggest privilege. But, I'll get there slowly.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, you're not, like pushing yourself too hard, like good for you. So thank you so much, Shoshana, in Hollywood, if anyone needs a doula, but you're online for everything else.
Thank you, Devora.
Thank
Pleasure
you.
to be here. Take care.
Thank you for joining me in another fascinating conversation about midlife. If you'd like to reach me, Devora Krasnianski, to talk about your midlife or anything else, you can reach me at jewishmidlife@gmail.com. You can also find us on our website, jewishmidlife.com, and follow us on Jewish Midlife on Instagram or Facebook, and join our conversations in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Jewish Women Talk About Midlife. And share what we're doing with your friends and others in the midlife phase.